Alright chaps, so in this video I'm going to go over my 3 biggest tips to overcome dandruff problems and get rid of that flaky scalp of yours. Now I've already discussed a lot on this channel how I quit using shampoo to improve my scalp health, but these are 3 other tips that I did also put into effect that also gave me benefits for my scalp health long term. So my first piece of advice here relates to diet. Now, many people don't think of diet when they have dandruff issues, but remember that the scalp is just part of your skin. It's quite well known that with issues like acne or spots, diet can often be a large major cause of these issues. But many people don't think in this way when it comes to dandruff or any scalp problem they have. And they don't even think about their diet at all as playing a causal role. And I'm not going to tell you to adhere to some sort of strict or specific diet regimen. Rather, I'd advise that you follow a common sense, healthy lifestyle. Minimize your consumption of processed foods, especially processed meats, refined sugars, refined grains, processed seed oils. The reason for this is these foods promote a lot of inflammation in the body, which in turn can affect your skin heavily and cause problems with dandruff and scalp issues. As well as cutting out these sorts of processed foods and junk foods, you should also strive to eat foods that have high nutrient density. So this means eating more fruit and vegetables, which are also loaded with antioxidants and fiber. You should eat high quality animal products rather than processed meats. Instead opt for grass-fed high quality meat or salmon, that kind of thing. And just be sure that you're meeting your nutrient requirements each day. And also, very importantly, eating enough calories. Eating enough calories is something a lot of people miss because they think that if they just eat a few salads a day, then they're eating really healthily because they avoid processed food. But of course, it's important to get enough nutrients as well. And if you don't eat enough calories, then you likely won't get enough micronutrients and your body just simply won't have enough energy to function optimally. So it shouldn't come as a huge surprise if you come out with various negative health outcomes, whatever they might be. They may be ones relating to your scalp. If you live in a cold climate as well, then it's important to take a vitamin D supplement during winter because you're not going to be getting enough sun to allow yourself to have enough vitamin D. A lot of people as well, by the way, especially in the West, don't consume enough fiber or enough potassium or enough magnesium. So these should also be things that you pay attention to especially. Now, I'm not aware of some specific nutrient deficiency that's shown to cause dandruff or other scalp problems, but it's very difficult for science in general to give causal accounts of how all these different possible poor health choices or nutrient deficiencies might negatively impact your body. But that doesn't mean that you should just neglect your nutrient levels and your diet whenever you have a health issue like dandruff. Instead, it should be your first port of call because the source very likely could be diet related, even if the exact mechanism at play hasn't been demonstrated by scientific studies. So just eat a common sense healthy diet, make sure you get enough nutrients, and you'll increase your chances of having good outcomes with regards to your health. Now for tip number 2, these are some factors that in my experience, most people have no clue that they would relate to scalp conditions like dandruff whatsoever. And these are aircon and heating usage. Now, using both of these excessively can really dry out your skin heavily, which again, your scalp is just part of your skin. And when your scalp gets dry, this can really be bad for causing dandruff. Of course, if you live in a hot climate, then using the aircon is going to be unavoidable. And if you live in a cold climate, then using the heating is going to be unavoidable. But if you can minimize the amount you use these things, or at least use them on lower settings, then you are likely to irritate your scalp and dry it out less, which is a good thing. It's just an important factor to be aware of if you are having persistent dandruff issues, that if you turn your heating all the way up in winter and just sit in this boiling hot room in t-shirt and shorts, then you are likely to be drying out your scalp heavily. I know for myself, I remember when I was first having scalp issues, I remember being in a classroom at school where the heating was really on high, so people were just in like t-shirts and stuff, even though it was freezing outside. And I just remember my scalp getting incredibly itchier and itchier over the course of the hour. It was really causing me trouble and making me itch my head a lot. Now, I actually live in the Philippines nowadays, so again, I use aircon because it's not so easy to just go without it, especially when you're in a room with other people. They're not going to be too happy if you try and insist that the aircon stays off when they're sweltering and dripping in sweat after just walking around in 35-degree heat. But just keep it in mind as something that will affect your scalp health if you use these things excessively. So tip number 3, the final tip, is something that you'll be familiar with if you've watched other videos about this on my channel, and that's to use cold water when you're washing your hair and scalp. The reason for this is that hot water, again, really dries out and irritates your scalp and can cause a lot of itchiness and flaking. The other thing about hot water is it will strip away your hair's natural oils just like shampoo will, and so that can lead to excess oil production and greasy hair and problems for your hair health too. Now again, I found that when I would use hot water in the shower to wash my hair, it would cause scalp irritation and make it itchier, whereas if I would use cold water, I would get that immediate relief from the itchiness my scalp was suffering from. It definitely doesn't have to be Wim Hof standard water temperature, where it's coming out already frozen from your shower. But just have it to be cool. It doesn't need to be super cold. Just avoid having it warm or hot. So that's going to wrap up this video. Thank you very much for watching. And if you do put these tips into practice, I hope that you can overcome your flaky scalp and attain and maintain a healthy scalp instead.